Hello guys, welcome back again. This is the third week of drawing practice, and for form capturing this week, we will combine the knowledge about perspectives so that when drawing an object, we will make the object have more structure to it. And for perspectives, the practice we will do will require more thinking and formulate a 3D models in our mind and draw it out. For coloring this week, we will talk through a practice that allows us to learn more about shapes and colors. And it's quite a high efficient practice recommended by Krantz. First of all, for form capturing, this week we will draw cars. And not just cars, it's cars with perspectives. And if you look at the files for this week, you can see that there are 5 days, and each of them has a card inside. And what I want you to do is that when looking at this card, first of all, try to analyze where the horizon line is and roughly where the vanishing points are. So when capturing this object, so when drawing it, okay, so press shift so that it's horizontal, and then you could roughly give a horizon line. This one is quite close, this one is quite further away. So this week when drawing the car, it's not just looking at the reference and draw it out accordingly, but instead when drawing the lines, we want the lines to fit the perspectives. In other words, those lines should look like they converge on the vanishing point. So the car is roughly like here. So this is roughly here, right? Here is here. And then it's roughly here. And here. So now after knowing the perspective, sometimes it doesn't even need me to look at the illustration at all. I just connect the lines towards the vanishing point, and which makes drawing cars more easy compared to just pure using form catching skills and try to find out what the slope angle of this is, what the slope angle of that is, how much is this, how much is that. You could just understand where the vanishing point is and draw it out, and it will make the drawing easier than what it was like previously without the knowledge of perspectives. So we just try to do that, like that. It's a bit big, but yeah, it should be fine. And then, so for example, this line is seems like they connect to that place, right? And then that part, there we go, like that. And start to carve in details. Try to draw this illustration within about 1 hour or 1.5 hours. So don't drag it too long. There's no need to draw the extreme details like this kind of hatchings and shadings. There's no need to do that. As long as the 80% of the card is being drawn, that's fine already. So going on to perspectives, what we'll do this week is that we will look at this kind of reference and draw the shoes, legs, feet out into the 16 box that we learned in the first week. And before doing that, it's quite good to first of all analyze the object like we did in second week. So for example, try to simplify this into, for example, we could say it is a box like that. That's 1, that's half. And then after that, you could style it, just style it, then you could copy paste. There we go. And then let's say we could style it into, let me reduce the size like that, and still use the knowledge from what we learned in the second week of form capturing. So instead of using a lot of curvy lines, use more straighter lines so that it will be easier for you to observe the differences of it like that. So that's our shoes. So what you'll do is you'll go here, come here. Let's say we'll use this as an example. Okay. And then there you go. And then come here, and still make sure that the lines fits the perspectives. Okay, so which means that this line and that line seems that they are gonna connect at the vanishing point. Here we go. That's half of it. And then again, roughly like, there you go, half of it. There you go. There you go. And then I can use the opacity tool to erase it a little bit, and then I can draw out the shoes. So let me change a bit of colors. Like that. There you go. There you go. Hey. Shoes. And then here. Like that. And now you know how to draw shoes. And put it into 16 boxes so that the structure of the shoes, as well as how you rotate it, how you draw it out, you have a better understanding about that. So over here, I found some references for you to follow, and you can find anything else you want to do as well, such as shields, guns, clothes. You can do those as well. So this is feet, this is mouse. Mouse is quite easy as well. This is head, or this. This might be a bit difficult even for me as well. So probably what I'll do is I'll cut it. So cut it in half. So I'll learn the chest first, and I'll do the hip. And after that, we could split the arms, forearm, hands. Then you can have a 3D model of a character yourself. Then you don't need to find a pose when you want to draw a character. You could just pick out the model from your mind and then draw it out in all kinds of different angles, which is gonna be fun. But this practice can be a bit difficult. You don't really need the 100% accuracy for the perspective in this practice, or else that'll take too long. Okay, so for colors, what we'll do this week in colors is quite different from what we did last time. So in this week's practice onwards, we will find a reference like this where it is quite easy for us to distinguish the light part and the dark part. So for example, this is a light part, this is a dark part, this is light, this is dark, this is light. But if we look at the file that we have, two values, so it's an illustration that's easy for us to see it this way. Okay, so something like this is the dark part, this is the light part, or like this is the dark part, this is the light part, this is the light part, this is the dark part. But yeah, what we'll do is that with this reference, we'll change it into black and white. So Ctrl U, and then reduce the saturation so that it becomes black and white. So over here, what we'll do is I will draw something like this. I'll explain it to you how we're gonna do it, as well as what the benefit of it is, okay? So first of all, how to do it is I will find, we could use this tool, rectangle tool, and then misclicked. There you go. Okay, and then fill it up with like this random bright color, it doesn't matter. And then we'll just put it in a group. I'll put it in a group, okay? And then above, I know my face is over here, but just to let you know, I put an alpha lock on it so that when drawing, it doesn't go out, as you can see. So what we'll do now is I will organize this illustration into two values. So we'll split it up. So draw something like this, like here. I'll have a quick demonstration, okay? Very quick one. Something like that. Yeah. Something like that. And something like that. Where else do we have? Yeah. Over here. And then yeah. There you go. Good enough. Fine, good enough. And then what we'll do now is that we will open another layer and start to block in this part of it. So probably like that, like that. See? And probably this part could be bigger. There you go. Now we will just add smaller ones, something like that. Okay, I'm looking at this and doing it. And if you want to add this area on to it, okay, just briefly, okay, very briefly. Alpha lock it. Something like that. There you go. So this is what we'll do. And in terms of the benefit of this is that it helps train our knowledge about shapes so that it allows us to imply a building or scenery like trees, plants in shapes. So something like this. So to draw like a church or chapel, you can use something like this kind of shape to demonstrate it, instead of using line art to try to draw out. It has to be, hold on, to draw out this. We don't need to use a line art to like draw this out. There's a structure over here, there's a structure over there. I need to draw this, like things like that. That'll be too much time wasted on these kind of far background, and we don't need that much details. With the understanding about shapes, we could just draw that part with this kind of shape, and then to show this area, just like that, just a little bit like that to show that, and then you can see that this structure, even though I didn't do anything about it, it feels like there's a lot of structures to it, like that. And then if I wanted, I could do this like that, and then you can see that, you can feel like, because of the shapes and the dynamic of it, it makes this church and this structure even more interesting than if I just purely use line art to draw it out. As well as it's really fast to do it. And the application of it, we can have a look. let's have a look at Cran's illustration. Where is it? Yeah. Foam capturing compositions. This is the thing that we'll talk about in 5th week. But have a look. So look at this. Like there's no details onto this part of the building, but then because there's just a pure shape of a triangle and a kind of rectangle-ish thing, we can say that it's like a structure coming out, a building coming out from it. As well as the other one. Look at this, especially this part. Now, if I use line art to draw this part, I would kill myself. There's so many things like, for example, this part, I need to draw it out so that it feels like it's sticking out. The structure of this part is carved into it. But then with the practice that we are gonna do, it allows us to learn the shape of this. Just draw it out, briefly draw it out. You can see that this part, it's kind of things. And this part, like simple shapes just to imply the structure of it, but we don't need to draw it out. And it could trick our eyes into thinking that there's a lot and lots of details over there, but actually it's just a few strokes of lines. So that's the benefit of doing this practice. And the second benefit of it is that it allows us to learn the texture of drawing. So try to learn this kind of feeling, this kind of texture of drawings, try out different brushes, as well as learn the colors in a faster and more efficient way. So through this way. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna explain to you the layer styles of this practice so that you understand the power of it and how much time you're gonna be saved. Okay, but bear with me, it's slightly a bit confusing, but try to bear with me, okay? So this is the layer style that is being done for this illustration, and we'll try to break it down. So first of all, this one is the bottom layer. This part, this part, that's that part. And for this one, this layer is the layer that we made the darker layer. So like that. So let's have a look. We had this kind of structure, right? Like that, the chapel, the church. There you go. Right, like this, right? This is this. And going on above it, we would have this layer, this layer over here, which is these minor details about it. So like that, like over here. Okay, so if we give some names for this layer, this is called A. So the dark zone is called A. A layer is this. B layer is this, the lighter part. Okay, and then C layer is over here. Okay, and what we'll do is that when structuring this practice, we would group the A layer into one, to group it together. B layer will group it into another one. Okay, and with look carefully, there's an alpha locker over here and an alpha locker over here, which means that this group and this group is gonna alpha lock it over here. In other words, if you alpha lock a layer then the things you draw will not go out of this border. This border, alpha lock it, okay? And then underneath it, inside this group layer, the next layer, the secondary layer is alpha locked, so it will only affect the layer below, which is A, and only affect the layer which is B. So if I demonstrate it and show it over here, so the layer currently I'm on is this one, the number 15 layer, okay? And because it is alpha locked to A, so whatever I draw, it will only be here, okay? So you can see, you can start to understand a little bit about the powerness of this kind of layer style, because if the illustration requires me to, for example, use this kind of texture style like that, then because of the layers being structured this way, I will not affect this part, the lighter part. I will not affect this lighter part, this lighter part. So the dark zone, I could change the color inside the dark zone, and I could change the color in the light zone, but the shape of the light zone and the dark zone doesn't affect each other. Okay? It doesn't make sense. So if I just finally add on a little bit to that, and the application of this method is that when let's say you draw a character's face, you draw a character's face like this, and this character's face, and then you want to draw the shading of him, and that. Right. And sometimes when you are trying to add on some details into the shading, so into the darker zones, you might notice that sometimes you might accidentally or push a little bit towards the light zone, so which is this part, and you have to pick this color over here, push it back a little bit, and then shoot, like you damage the shape of the shading again, so you have to push it back again. So this takes a lot and lots of time, and it could be quite annoying as well. So what this new technique is that it separates this layer to one side, it separates that layer into one side, and you draw inside so that you won't affect this border. So this border, you will not affect it. You can only draw it inside here, draw it inside here, or if you want to do inside the light zone, you can only draw it inside here, you can only draw it inside here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. If there's any questions, feel free to comment below, because I know it's a bit confusing as well when I first learned this kind of layer styles. But it's really helpful, okay? Trust me on that. Now I'll talk a little bit more on what to do afterwards. So if you want to progress even further in terms of coloring practice, so after a while of practicing the thing that I mentioned just now, what I will do is that I will start to learn about the minor changes about the colors. So over here, I wrote 2 values to 4 values, and what it means is that you can see over here, what we did previously was that we split the illustration into 2 values, right? And after that, we split it into light zone and dark zone. And after that, we will start adding a darker zone for the dark zone and a darker zone for the light zone. Then we will have 1, 2, 3, 4 values about that. In other words, 4 colors. And then after that, if I want to add on to even more, then I could add lighter colors to that. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. So this is the general structure of how you increase the colors in your illustration. So from simple 2 values to going on and building on more and more lighter zone for lighter colors and darker colors for darker zones. And what I'll do is that I'll find this kind of clothes and I'll change it into black and white so that I don't have to consider the hues and saturations of the colors, mainly just focusing on the brightness of it. and I'll find the dark zones, which is roughly like here, dark zones. And then after that, I'll start to add in more colors to it. So for that, you can see that this is the dark zones, and I'll find a slight darker zones for this area, okay, using the technique that I mentioned just now, so in the previous one. And one thing to notice when it comes to light zone and darker zones and all the colors, there's actually distributions of it that we should be aware of. So over here, I drew this one. And if we analyze this skirts first, so for the specific color selector, we'll have a look. So over here, actually we'll use the original one. The light zone is 93 in terms of its brightness, okay? 93. And when it comes to this part, it's 70. 70, okay? So over here, we'll drop it 93, 70, okay? And then if we have a closer details of the more colors inside this darker zone, so if you have a look here, 69, 60, 60, oh, that's line up, it doesn't count. 60, 57, 45. Okay, so the darkest color in the dark zone is roughly around 45, roughly. Okay, so 70 to 45. Whereas in the light zones, you can see that the darkest color is 84, 84, roughly around 84. 84. So you can see that the darkest color in the light zone and the lightest color in the dark zone still has around 14 differences in terms of their brightness. Still with me? And what I'm trying to convey is that the dark zone, the color in the dark zone does not connect with the color in the light zone. Doesn't connect. There's still some gaps between them. And the reason behind it is that because of this gap, it allows us to see the structure of something. So for example, if I show you now what I mean by that, so there we go. There you go. There you go. Okay, so that's a box, right? And then this is the dark zone. There you go. Then with this kind of structure, we can feel like there's a structure in the thing that I drew. It feels like a shape like this. Right? This part is under the light, that part is facing the light. And it's because there's quite a distinct difference between the brightness of the two planes. Okay? If I do this, okay, if I show you do this right now. There you go. Then the box that I made has become very smooth, and there's no obvious plane or kind of structure to it, which means that, in other words, we have more colors because we have more colors, right? Well, we have more distinct color changes, like 60, 70, 73, 75, 80, and then going on to 90, 92, 93, 94, 94. But then we lost the structure of the box that we have. It has become like a rounded, curved ball. If we really want to say what kind of structure it is. But then in the skirt, we want to have a structure to it. We want to show the planes and show the lighter part and the darker part. So as a result, when it comes to the distribution of the light zone and the dark zones, the different colors, first of all, we have the light zone color, and the dark zone color, right? And then when adding on to more colors to it, so when adding on to the 4 values to it, we would just add like a range of it around it, so that both of them doesn't overlap. It won't be like this, where dark zones, light zones, right? We won't add so many colors that we couldn't even figure out where's the light zones, where's the dark zones, and everything seems that it's all like a gradient, like a scale. And if that's the case, we will lose the structure of it. So that's the thing that I want you to be aware of when in the future you want to start to learn more about colors and try to capture the minor changes of folds. It's the distribution of the colors that's very important. And hopefully I explained it well enough. If there's any questions again, feel free to comment below. I do understand that my explanation can be shitty sometimes. So overall, if we have a quick summary of what I just talked about for colors, is that when it comes to practicing colors, me personally, what I will do is that I'll find references like this, which is easier for me to split the illustration into 2 values. I'll draw the 2 values to learn more about the shapes and have more database on that. And then if I feel more confident on that, learn more about shapes, I'll go on to start to adding the colors to it, learn the minor details like this kind of shapes, or using different kind of brush tools to familiarize myself with them, and experiment technically with all kinds of colors and brushes. So that's what I'll do. So capture it with the layer style that I mentioned just now. And then after that, if I feel like I have the confidence on the more distinctive colors, then I'll go on to learn more about the detailed color changes, like folds in the clothes. So what I'll do is I'll find the references like this, I'll draw it out, disregard the hair, disregard the face and the hands, those kind of things, but mainly focusing on the skirt that she is wearing, and try to copy it out to find the colors, as well as experience the minor changes of colors and being able to identify them, draw them out. That's what I'll do. And as well as I'll find the artwork made by artists that I like, such as Krantz or Victor Klotz, and I'll try to copy this illustration, learn the different colors that he used and combinations of them so that I could use it in my own illustrations. So overall, that's the thinking process and the pathway of what I'm gonna do for coloring and the practice for colors. So that's the practice that I'll be doing from now on until the future to learn more about colors, as well as the perspective practice as well, to gain a better insight about the 3D models of a structure or of an object, and being able to formulate that kind of thinking process in my mind. If there's any questions or concerns in regards to this week's practice or anything I talk about for colors, perspectives, feel free to comment below. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next week's practice. Bye bye.